everywhere I go, I say this with my son, who is a really pretty good athlete and has done well. He's playing football at Rutgers now, but he left the football program. He quit, basically. And in our family, that's like, holy heck. But he went about it a different road. He had to find himself, and he had to grow up. But just growing up with him, and I knew he was a special talent. But I like to think I did this. I didn't ruin his career on the car ride home. See? That makes sense.
I hope more people are listening to that. And what I was going to say is, for Zach, is you didn't force feed him to your passion of wrestling.
No. It was actually a pretty happy day when he said, I don't want to wrestle anymore. I was like, thank God, because I know what it takes.
And for such an athletic kid, he would have been successful just being an athlete.
Well, that's what would happen. He was so into football, so into baseball. When it was wrestling season, he wrestled. And by the end of the year, he would do great. I remember the Santinellos and the Al DeSantis, who wrestles for me now. They were all in his weight. The Lipsons, Conklins, the Rankings, they were all his weight. So he would lose those guys. I'm like, they're club kids. Like, you're never going to catch them unless he's like, but I want to play football. I said, then you should play football and baseball.
Now that didn't bother you at all?
No, this was his path, and I had a wife that would say to me, just let him his own path. It's every time we go to a wrestling match, Goodale's son here, let's put him in 3 weight classes. I'm like, no,
dude.
He's not built for that. Like, he just wants to have fun, and he wasn't having fun doing it. So
I don't blame you.
He follows it. He loves it. He gives me hey, at the national tournament this year, if he loses this match, he's dropping to this guy, and we could beat this guy. And I'm telling you, if he wrestles hard, we could beat so-and-so. So he's super into it. But football and baseball were his passion. And
I love it.
When he stepped away, that was a tough day. It was a hard day, man. I had to bite my lip a little bit and because, again, selfishly, what are people going to think about me that my son quit, right? And it was never about me, but that's the way as a dad. It was never about me.
But it sounds like you handled it really gracefully.
Yeah, it was hard. Coach Shiano and I are very, very tight, so never once talked about it. It was, Zach, because of the COVID years, he probably wasn't, maybe I shouldn't say wasn't going to go to Rutgers, but his recruiting would have went a lot different, if that makes sense, because he couldn't take any trips, COVID. He's probably a 1AA kid at the time, which he probably should have done, maybe something like a Monmouth, right? Would have been great for him, but he loved Rutgers and he grew up Rutgers. And fast forward now, he decides to come back. He drops me off for the Midlands. He brings me to the airport and drops me off, and we were playing a bowl game, Rutgers versus Miami this year, and he's like, Dad, I should be playing in that game. I was like, what are you going to do, man? I still love you no matter what. You're doing great in school. He lives with all my guys. And that's part of life. You're going to, one day you'll be able to tell your kids, listen, stick with it or don't, or find your own path. And he's like, no, I want to play. So you got to go talk to Coach. And he's like, I'm going to go talk to Coach. I said, really? And sure enough, Coach Shiano came up to me, after that, maybe 2 weeks later, and said, man, he's got a set on him. He just came in my office and chopped it up, and they just moved him over to defense. He had a great spring game. He's making tackles, making interceptions. He's doing great.
So, I love it, because he was a wide receiver in high school, right?
So they just decided to change him. So he found his way.
I love it.
That's what it's all about. As parents, that's a hard thing, because you're impatient. I'm impatient. I'm right now. Let's do it right now. But God bless, he found his way and did it on his terms and had nothing to do with me. And my wife's always the voice of reason. They usually are, right?
I'm sure.
But that's huge for you to have let him do that. That speaks volumes of who you are. Because a lot of parents would have tried to intervene. Like, what are you doing? You're throwing this opportunity down the toilet, whatever. And you let him figure it out. And
you have to.
But he came out the right way in the end. He figured out what he needed to, and he came out swinging.